Okay, so I know Renault, you got your team, right?
Yeah.
You know who everybody is, your 5 from the class?
Yeah.
Colin, Riley?
Yeah. Yeah.
Travis?
Yeah.
Joanne? Do you know who your team is from the class?
Yeah, we Reliable Film Service and Harmon Merchant.
So you have 5?
I don't know what each team.
You have five people from the class. Who's on Joanne's team so far? Anton?
Sorry, for our final project.
Yeah.
So,
Your final project. Oh, sorry. I meant your
I don't
final.
have a group in my final project.
What's that?
What final project team?
Yeah, you don't have your final project team?
Because we don't know if we're going to start or not. Because if we don't pass 80%, we can have one film or something like that.
Yeah, but you have to kind of assume you're going to pass, right? Well, who does anybody have their full team figured out, or do they think they're going to work?
yeah.
Okay. So, well, why don't you guys think about that right now? Joanne and Carmen and whoever else doesn't know. You know, make a list of the people that you would like in whatever role. When we start scheduling it out, then we'll figure out if that's going to work. Okay. So think about that right now while we're watching this stuff. We'll figure it out together. All right, here we go. So this is Team 1 City classes. I'm excited. Hopefully, as we go, we'll get better and better, right? So your first exercise was exposure, as you recall. Oh wait, yeah. Can you get second things? So mark it. You say first exercise, C1, second exercise, A1, C1, Beautiful. All right, so I remember talking to the team about this one a little bit. I think you changed the angle, I think, because of the corner of the wall, right? If I remember. So sometimes you gotta watch, because even though you've got really nice exposure going on here in space, you got really, really thick shadows, and even with the bounce board out there, because it's a full shot, you couldn't really get close enough to take any of those shadows away. And you've got the shadow on the wall from that overhanging thing. So really just think about the space that you're working in. Some of the shadows are working for you, and some are working against you. And the only real ugly one is the one on the right, because if you look at the balance of the frame, it becomes very heavy on that side, right? So that's a nice change. Okay. Watch you don't cast your shadow on your sticks though, guys. Just make sure that your body is always clear, so that's a problem. And always try to catch the light. Nice blue sky. Man, I wish you guys had the opportunity to see some light like that. I mean, if you're being day for night, you'd be the happiest people in the world right now. If you're really lucky, you get good weather, you could actually still pull it off both of the So, nice long lens one. Know your lens size though. If somebody says we're doing an extreme close up, you can't slate in front of the camera. Get behind the subject. Oh no, we never got sticks to that thing. Okay, so that happens on your own shoots, that's bad news. Especially if most of you are shooting on Renault's camera. So make sure you're sure as hell you get those sticks. Never miss those sticks. A couple of you guys are going to have challenges. You've got night shoots or you've got like Colin Riley. So make sure that you always have a flashlight. AC has a flashlight in your pocket the whole time, because there's going to be many times where you'll need to light up your sleep. That looks really good. You can see the net moving around a little bit in the wind, but it'll bring down the exposure. And for those of you that weren't in this game, I do remember doing this. I have a better memory for what I shoot than what I actually like do. when you guys were shooting this, we added the net because we realized that when we set up the frame, see how the wall, you can see the exposure on the brick in the background? That was gone, because that's the shadow wall, right? So by pointing the camera profile at Sharon, that background wall actually became incredibly underexposed, and you couldn't get both. So the trick was to make use of the nets. You bring down her exposure, but still keep the same light quality, and then you open up, bring down the exposure on her face, and then you open up your aperture on your camera, and that allows you to see the brick wall. So remember, it's always that relationship, right? Every time you change camera angle, you kind of have to cheat what you're doing with the lighting to get the results that you want. And then we had our low angle, some cool lines there, a compositional issue with the red vent on the wall there. So a lot of it is also about choosing where you want to shoot and thinking about how you can get the best results. And you know, you can always cheat things. You can move Sharon further away or whatever you need to do. I don't know what that last one was. Cool. What's this one? Is this the boom pole? Oh, yes, the boom pole.
Oh, the cop.
So if this is the actual movie, you have a bit of a problem already. What is it? Reflection. You don't see the camera too much, but you see the boom pole, and you see your actor before you.
This is the worst thing of my life.
Whoa, look at that. So the exposure was correct. I remember you guys having it right. And then the sun came out a bit more, or he was being hit a bit more, and all of a sudden, boom, right? So shooting outside is actually a lot harder than shooting in the studio because you're constantly dealing with fluctuating light levels.
The cop.
I think it improved that. Oh, still blown out.
What's the cop?
Extreme overexposure. Oh, again. Son of a bitch. Come on, somebody get it right. Wow. So it's all overexposed. Now you know why not to use white. So the mistake here I simply was that I think whoever set the original exposure set it to the background, not the subject, and it became like that for the rest of the shoot.
Oh, cop.
So careful guys, because that all would have been throwaway. What happened to your other angles? Or it was only one, right?
Yeah, it was only one.
Okay. So the boom pole was the main focus there, so too bad the exposure was no good, but I saw the boom in the reflection, but we didn't actually see it in the shot on any of those takes. And listen.
Oh, cop.
You can really hear when it hits the cone axis and when it doesn't hit. Like just turning its head a little bit, it's gone. So that takes lots of practice, but keep it good. What's next? Blankness. Blankness. There's nothing else on this tape. You guys did movement with tag, right? Yeah, and how about triple take? That should have been on this tape. Yeah, we don't do it. Did you triple take together?
The one with the dolly?
No, we did this one.
Not the dolly one?
Wait,
Just different tapes.
really?
Remember this one here and here? With the dolly? No.
Okay, so I'm gonna. Did you? The tag gave you extra tapes for that? Did you keep them?
Honestly, we don't think so.
Maybe I have them somewhere. I think I only did this too, though.
Well, those are the ones with tag scene on it, so we should
Oh, that one?
immediately.
This was longer, so you definitely remember that.
My
Bracket. Save your exposure assignment. Roll 1, scene 1, take 1.
So yeah, again, shadowy slate. Just get out in the light.
Friend. Action. Cut.
Light through the trees is pretty cool.
But it's not really hard to see them slate. Medium. Maybe a little now.
1-6.
Yes. Margaret.
Exposure assignment scene 1A, take 1.
Whoa, that's so risky. You know, it's always better to show the sticks than the bottom of the slate. Nobody really cares about the stuff at the bottom. If you catch it on a couple frames, it's all you need. But make sure the sticks are on. So,
Action.
pretty good match. Got some good depth there with the background. Still lots of breakup. Everything looks pretty consistent. I think I remember we moved her ahead, right, to block the metal and stuff. So yeah, so just, you know, there's along with a lot of cheating, but just try to hide those really reflective objects. Keep everything kind of overall consistent.
And action.
Whoa, that was wild, eh? The background. You can see the heat.
Cut.
There we go. Good job, the person.
Exposure assignment scene 1B, take 1.
Rolling. Oh, nice low angle. So again, you guys are doing a great job because the sun was moving a lot and you managed to keep the light on her face consistent. All the, mostly the background textures and colors and contrast is so good. But you can really see why shooting with daylight is a bitch, eh? It's like you get like hard sun. That's why people like shooting Vancouver so much, because most of the year it's cloudy. Cloudy light is awesome because you can add rows of trees if you want with lighting, or you can add like rim lights, or you can add things, or you can, you know, whatever you can control it. But in the harsh daylight, you know, it's great when you're using day for night or when you want to see the sky, but it sucks when you're trying to avoid contrast because it's so contrasty. So, you know, that's why you see those giant white silks when people shoot. They're basically using the sun and making a, you know, 3-story bounce board to fill the building so they can have that. You see a lot of that in LA.
9.6 and
9.6.
Is that a 4? Is that a 4? It must be a 4.
What is it?
5.6, I hope. Maybe.
Because
There's no 4.6.
that's a 9.
Did you do that?
That's ridiculous.
That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know what it is.
Must be the wrong every day. 6.8.
Just straight over. Right side.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as long as the light's Is this your room call now?
Yeah.
You know, yesterday, after I lit the cigarette, I saw a guy who just like right there, but the color's blue. I don't know why. I was like, oh, that's what.
The boom's actually not too bad there. I mean, you still got a lot of ambient traffic and stuff. I think the boom can get a lot closer for help. There's also a bit of fill light if you can see it from the bounce board, so that worked really well actually. It was very subtle in the LCD. I really hope all of you guys bring a field monitor with you and find a way to hook up a monitor. You're going to see so many things that will solve problems for you in the day that you won't catch otherwise.
I was kind of scared.
Jeff, we shoot here. Do we have access to those TVs?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just make sure you sign them out ahead of time and then have them in the room. Because you won't be able to get them probably on I think it's around a week or something.
I didn't visible.
But yeah, I really hope you just keep them away from the actors.
I don't know.
Look at that bounce now.
When I come back, there's that creature like right here. Blood is blue. That's why I run up and try to call people down. And when we get back here, it's all gone. It's like it's never there.
That's not bad. pretty good. You can hear it off again when Brunel turns his head away. So try to, whoever's doing sound, try to stay as active as you can, you know? Don't just hold it directly in front of his face. Lean in a bit, lean back a bit. Always try to be following his mouth. This is pretty close. As long as the dialogue is dominant, you can push a lot of this stuff down.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you guys moved a bit.
That's why I ended here. And I ran inside and called police, and they came here and just swept it under the rug. So.
Not bad. Documentarians good with that.
So I came down the other day, and there was a prostitute sitting over.
This is one of those occasions where if the shot size changes, just make sure that the boom operator and the camera operator talk about it. Because the boom, look how close the boom could be. It could be like, you know, an inch over the camera frame, and you get amazing sound right here, but it still sounds very distant.
He wanted to pick me up, but it turns out it was an alien. So what I did, I came over, I shot her in the head, and I ran back inside quickly to call the police, and they swept it under the rug.
Nice room light. If you guys are doing superhero daylight, this would be what you would do. That's good.
I don't know why they're doing this. Like, I know some aliens showed up, but it doesn't mean that they would take this place like down like that. They should have like informed them.
Technically, whose fault is that though? Yep. Look at the train line.
I know some aliens showed up, but it doesn't mean that they would take this place like down. Like,
What's with all that crazy headroom?
they should have like informed them.
Bad composition.
Bad. I don't get it.
Start again.
People live here.
So one of the things, this just popped in my head, I forgot to mention it before, but I was looking over, I've only met with a couple of you guys, not many people have actually come to me to have meetings. I know Sean tried, and I apologize that I didn't have time that day, but there is still time, so if we can meet in week 1, or even a little bit this week, tomorrow or something, I suggest we do it. One of the things that I would suggest all of you is to write out time estimates for each one of your shots, and make none of them less than 15 minutes. So no matter how simple it is, if it's like an insert of a coin landing on the ground, 15 minutes. Because every single time you pick up a camera and you change angle, it's going to be 15 minutes or more. So that's a very realistic way to kind of plan out your time. I think if you do that and you're always doubling the amount of time you think you need, you'll be okay. So if it's something dead simple, 15 minutes, anything that has even a slight lighting change, half an hour. And anything that's more complicated for blocking or requires we don't do stunts, but pseudo stunt or something that seems like a little bit trickier for camera, you give yourself an hour. And the first step of your day is always the longest one, especially if it's a master shot. So realistically, I hate to say it, but 3 to 4 hours for your first setup, and then hopefully you're hitting 15 minutes to 30 minutes for the rest of your setup for the rest of the day, and then you make up your time. But something to think about and consider. So. You guys all have ambitious movies this round, but I'm not thinking any of them are doable. It's just you have to really, really plan ahead.
Suddenly abducted by aliens. It's a terrible, terrible thing.
Good job, Boom.
I don't want to talk about the story.
I was like, good job, Boom. Boom.
Back in 1980, Vancouver, Alaska.
Camera operator.
Abducted by aliens. In a big, huge ship.
Tilt down, camera. Oh, now it's Boom's fault. You're abducted in 1980.
It's back in 1980, Vancouver, Alaska. when I was abducted by aliens. I was eating supper with my family.
The Alaskan UFO thing was until 1989. Get it right.
Moving to status, scene 2, Delta, scene 1.
Anyway, I don't think we did that question. Whoa. What is that?
Me and Eric were sitting like right there, and then some creature came down from over there, and then we were like, "What is it?" And then we thought it was some guy, but then he started making that noise, and then camera.
I like your story. Yeah, what happened after that? Just walked out. See if there's anything else. Well, that sucks. I'd like to see your people fix this stuff. Did you guys do it as a class or two groups?
Two groups.
Well, we don't have a ton of time, so we'll look at that first. Will you guys forgive me if we don't look at those? Yeah. Let's look at our lighting workshops and stuff first. We'll see how much time I got. So, I mean, I've worked with you guys enough this term, and it's been a smaller team, so I have a better grasp on each of your strengths and weaknesses, and I think that overall you're doing pretty well. I think that you could all benefit from more lighting practice on your own for sure. I hope that you do more than one test, please. Don't just do one. Also, make sure you do a test for sound. Combine it all together if you want to. But be really thorough about it and make sure that you're ready. The only downside to this is that you have very little time left. Luckily, you're a smaller class, so we can have most of you guys shoot and just do a group. But starting next week, that may not be able to happen. But make sure there's at least 2 full days so that we can get your forms in the time. Do not wait 2 days before you want to shoot. Show me your camera test, because this time it's not going to be. I'm not going to be easy on you like before. If there's something wrong with your camera test, or I feel there's something that you haven't figured out yet, or you need to learn, then you may be asked to go do that before you shoot. And if that's the case, and you've only got 48 hours, you're going to have to cancel your shootings. So try to get your camera tests in and just meet and look at them ASAP. So hopefully that's going to be happening tomorrow and over the weekend. You guys can book equipment if you want. Or it can happen Monday, Tuesday. We do have class next week, and what I'm really hoping is that I get to sign almost all of you off next week's class. So if that happens, we're all laughing. If it doesn't, then it's going to be tough, because keep in mind that you're planning your movies, but you're also on other people's movies. So if you're helping on Sean's show Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the next person starts on Sunday, where the hell are you going to get your stuff done? So you need to make sure that's all happened now. All right, no pressure. All right, next. Let's look at Star Trek. Oh, I didn't download the directing extras. That's what I forgot. Yes, there you are. Okay, so let that run. So let's start with Star Trek. I don't think we need to watch all of these, do we? Let's watch the last. We did get an insert shot of Spock. Yeah. And yeah, let's change that. So let's watch maybe the last 3. How about that? Here's the sound I heard earlier. Oh. That expression too is so perfect. Alright, here we go.
Action.
Captain, we are being held on screen.
So, we meet again, Cap.
Oh no, it's my former roommate.
Ah! You lack on!
Fire all photon torpedoes. Full spread. Ah!
Ah! So schnell! Quach!
Playback Cool. Good job again. So sound, you can share a problem right away, eh? Thinking out like crazy.
Action.
Captain, we are being held on screen.
Why is this small scale so much? Sharon was supposed to put a letterbox as well. Overall, though, it looks good. You got some nice Star Trek-y look to it, and color and direction. There was nothing done to those, so that's the way it was shot. So. Okay, well. Why is he asking for that?
Take 3. Action.
Captain, we are being held on screen.
So, we meet again, Cap.
Oh no, it's my old roommate.
Ah! You lack on!
Fire all photon torpedoes. Full spread.
Ah! So schnell! Quach!
Good job, you guys. It's very fun. You know what? Let's just look at this. So, if you recall,
Check shoot. Scene 1 alpha, take 1.
first time it was just the shot of Spock.
Turn it on, turn it off. Right now. On, turn it on, right now. Action.
Captain, we are being held.
Okay, so if you do that little piece, but it's always worth getting more. So try to get more out of every shot that you get. You know, don't have to turn them all into masters, but a little extra coverage goes a long way, and that's something you should be planning in your shot list.
Captain, we are being hailed.
On screen. So we need that. Oh no, it's my former roommate. Fire all photon torpedoes. Full spread.
Great cup went there. Great cup went there. And then, you know, if you did 2 takes of that, right, like do one in a safety, on the safety version, have the camera operator follow Steve when he stands up. So then you get 2 versions, and then you get twice the stuff. So try to be really economic with your show. But great work. Looks like a lot of fun. Turned out well. I'm a little disappointed that it turned into letterbox and stuff. I'll ask her to go back and do that. That way you guys can keep it if you want or whatever. And we'll cut it together and we'll get more episodes from future classes. Let's take a look at your Batman and Alien. These are pretty raw, I believe. Got so confused. I don't get it.
Those will be assembled takes each
All
one.
ones. Assuming this is all the raw stuff.
Yeah. And then those files are just the assembled.
Yeah, but why are they empty?
Can you see?
So annoying. I'm watching this shit. Get clear. What?
The reach first?
Okay.
Only got one guy.
Oh, that's why. Alright, we'll look at them one by one. Okay, here we go.
Ready? Okay, action. I have one rule, and that's the rule you'll have to break on over through. Cut.
Yay! So, so funny. Didn't feel like that when you're playing Batman, but when you see it. For you guys. So I saw this, and it's a little bit different than what I would have said to go for. I think maybe the challenge was simply that there was too much light in the room. Did you guys have all the fluorescent lights?
Yeah, we remembered it after we exposed it, everything.
Yeah.
We didn't turn those ones we were supposed to keep on, but the one the side that you're on right now,
Yeah.
we're supposed to go off.
So that's what probably killed it. I think like as far as staging and the dolly move, that's great. I definitely would have. I think you've also got a light back here, right? Looks like.
Yeah, it was on the door, right?
Like it's pointing right in the door.
Yeah.
So that's working good too. It's just that this is still, you can tell it's overexposed to no detail. So this whole shot should have been brought down by like maybe 2 stops. And then if those lights above hadn't been on, that would have been made this more shadowy. And then you need a 300-watt shooting this way to catch the rim there. So, you know, this became a little more flat, a little more comic, or like a comedy, not so much like, you know, Looney Batman. The good news is that you do seem to have one from source. So you must actually have a light coming this way. I think
Yeah.
the shadow. But it's just flattening everything out. So. Only one. So that's that one. Let's look at. Okay, results.
Market, TikTok.
So same problem here. This slide I remember in the photograph was the brightest. There was something in the ceiling, and that was the brightest source. So it's good that you guys lit that, but that's what you should have exposed for, and then let everybody else be under where it looks like we're null in these spaces where we're actually what's been exposed for. So they're way too bright. Also quite a hard light. You may want to soften them up. And it's spilling all over your background. So go a little higher with the light. Were you trying to match the chin shadows? I can't remember. I don't know. So I think maybe that's part of the problem. So like the light is hitting all the back wall. So if this light had been raised, push the shadows down onto the shoulders. That would take all the light off the back room, creating more shadow back here. And then expose for this, and then knock the face down a little bit. And you get a lot more relief. So the actual angles are fine, but the result is still way too. This is called what's called a high key scene, meaning that the key is so bright and so wild that everything, the illumination of everything comes up, including the fill and all that. So lots of detail there, but staging of it's cool. Oh, I guess we should watch it.
Frame.
Action.
I've never seen anything like it before.
It's got a little dolly does so much, eh?
Cut.
Tiny little push. Yeah, smart. Alright, let's take a look at Vortex Spidey. All the raw stuff. She must have labeled the process. Should do the last page.
Rolling.
Okay. So the soft light is much nicer. And it's strictly finding that combination. It depends how contrast you want to go. So the moment that you guys use diffusion, you suddenly end up getting a bit more high key, so you have to push it down. And I think we did a pretty good job of keeping the shadows there. So, you know, it's something that, you know, we didn't talk about, Colin and Riley, is like if you wanted to have it be a little moodier, you could go softer lights, and then you need more powerful light and more paint. So lots of flags, basically. So you can decide, you know, if you want to have that the doorway light actually being a bounce light on him instead of a diffuse light. You just have to make sure you don't let it go wild through the room. But I think the way that we did it was
Yeah, I like the hard edges that we had as opposed to getting most of the face.
Yeah, if you're doing comic book, you know, for your girl character though, if she ever does catch a light that's going more like 3/4 on her, I definitely like at least use hers with tough spot.
Yeah.
But keep the rest of it. So that worked pretty good.
Market.
Rorschach sliding, C1, take 4.
I have to say I like
Set.
the white
Frame.
ball thing in the back of the best. And this hasn't been color corrected, so you can pull it down quite a bit too. Lights and sand. So I think we could have handwrite a bit more to lose that. But, oh well, you still see the edges. There's a little too much light in the room for sure. But the nice part is there's enough contrast that if you wanted to pull that down in post, you can. So it's something to consider too. As long as you're sitting around like 4 o'clock to 1, you can actually get a lot more contrast out of it later. But if you don't have that contrast to start, like in the Batman scene, then there's nothing you can do. So that's what you're going
I think the Spider-Man Jake thing, second to last two is thinking
to.
It was in the third. There was one that was. We only got 4, so it's
Rolling.
I'll take a measure of it.
Market.
I brought Spider-Man lighting scene 1, take 3.
Set.
Frame.
And action.
Nice. Hey, epic moment for Colin. So, looks really nice, you guys.
Yeah.
I think we could have just likely come down one more stop safely without having any damage to the dark areas. Not to necessarily make it a lot darker, but just to kind of control any blowout that's on the red there. Red always bleeds it, so it's tough to tell. Yeah, that worked really well. So pretty simple, just a couple light sources, and that was it. And you had a bounce board for the fill area for the faces, which I would suggest you guys do as well, and same for his box and stuff. So just always have that on standby. And, well, yours is going to be lit mostly with the bounce, with the direct bounce, and then you'll have a bounce for the fill as well. So yeah, pretty cool. Good job, teams. Yay. If movies look like that, I think you'd be happy, hey?
Alright. Want to come to our sense?
You guys can do it now. You've done it enough that you know what has to happen. The thing is, the only thing that, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, is that I know you can do all of this, it's just the time it takes. That's the thing that's killing it.